Alrighty, so Battlefield of Eternity, Ethereal versus No Worries. Very interested to see how this one goes. As we're talking for quite some time, it is a very interesting matchup. We're seeing both teams do quite well in the last qualifier, and to come against each other right at the start, I mean, sure, it's a very limited pool of teams, but a relatively even matchup for this first series.
Yeah, I really like just even looking at the team lineup, the compositions. There's a lot of experience. There's a lot of mechanics at play from both sides, and they understand the game. Like they banned out a new rec, removed Diva, right? So they removed control. The ability to zone out via Diva, and a new rec's just a really strong character. But if they do want to go into something like the Kelthis, or like it's Li Ming to a way, there's a caveat there with Li Ming and Nubarak. But, the Kelthis or even the Gul'dan or someone of that nature, removing the Nubarak assists in that play, and he's also a
Yeah,
power play as well.
yeah, I think that's more of the issue with the Nurburgring is that he's just like really strong and he brings so much to a team. Essentially, just with you can just look at Cocoon and just how much that can bring to a team fight and how much it can sway the favor of a team fight. Just getting him off the board, do not want that on to go over to your opponents. It looks like they don't want to pick it up themselves. Maybe not wanting to go towards those kinds of team fighting compositions or with the Nurburgring. So we'll have to see what they end up going with their first pick. There's things like the Genji, the Uther, who have pretty much dominated drafts and the way drafts have been going for like throughout the mid-season brawl. But it is going to be the Valor, very strong pick for the map. Uh, One of the best when it comes to just racing down the Immortals. So a very strong pick for them on right off the bat.
So who we're going to see though? The next two picks are in the of the favorite to our old No Worries here. What do you feel is going to be their sort of play here? It doesn't matter. The Uther Greymane,
Yeah, you don't really
not
have the
not
chance to
bad.
really to really wonder because they pretty much snap lock those in. The Uther, as I mentioned, a very strong hero, and also you kind of want to take it away from any kind of opportunity for your opponent to take it. Just very strong. And the Greymane, another one of those heroes that is really, really strong when it comes to racing down the Immortals. So uh, very solid pickups for No Worries, but on the side of Ethereal, there is the opportunity for them to pick up the Oriole and the Tastar to get one of those holy trinities going and really uh, try and dictate the pace of the game.
It's so funny saying that. I think that's something that we don't see a lot in general in the ANZ region. So like the let's call it the Oriole Tassadar play into Valor. And I don't know if it's like a roster thing. I just mean in general. Obviously, Nomia do it. Some of the other bigger
They do it
teams do.
very well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've almost had to go into that. Almost, it was almost
Yeah,
GL the Oriole
they got the
Dahaka.
holy duo, but they didn't lock in the Taz. But the Dahaka is still very strong. Doesn't necessarily have the same amount of global value as you would see in other maps, but we're starting to see it more and more. The Dahaka coming in to try and apply some pressure while the Immortal Phases is going on, and still having quite a few avenues of entry into a team fight if you want to try and engage. So very strong pickup. Very interested to see if the Tassar is actually going to be banned by No Worries to try and just like lock out any chance of that combo going through.
It's actually kind of an interesting regard. The Tassadar, while is helpful, maybe it's not as important having that global soak from Dahaka that can get into the team fights and can even do a bit of peeling when Greymane does eventually dive in onto the Valor, onto the Oriole. So,
Mm.
and they've actually forced, they have banned it, they have banned
Yeah,
Tassadar, but they've kind of
I,
forced No Warriors to do it.
yeah. That's one thing that you can kind of think about is that because they didn't lock in the Tassadar alongside the Oriole, they already know that there's that risk of that trio coming through, and you really don't want to let it go through for free.
Mm.
So they'll, as you said, they kind of forced into that ban. They don't want to take it themselves necessarily. Not although Greymane could work well with it, I
Mm.
don't think it's something that they'll be wanting to immediately dive on, especially looking at what they're up against so far. Also, the Arthas ban, so just wanting to lock out some of the other really notable frontline warriors.
And especially with the artist, once he does get in, he can help slow down and lock down those targets, making it a bit easier for Greymane. So, but look at that, Muradin jump in with the stun. Muradin's never a bad option, obviously. and Li Ming can, while has like a caveat, can do a lot of damage, and particularly on this map, her burst damage seems to be high enough that you can kind of actually burst down an immortal. Normally, sustained damage from someone like Greymane and Valor's very coveted, and both of them have been picked up. But Li Ming still offers that value, and she's exceptionally, she's exceptional in team fights as well.
Yeah, just looking at No Worries Comp right now, they have an incredibly strong immortal race. The Greymane and the Li Ming, two heroes that are very potent when it comes to damage to the immortal. Whereas on the other side, we've got Valor and Nazeebo. Yes, the Valor is very strong, but the Nazeebo takes a little bit to get going. He can do a decent amount. He can really lock down some of the areas, but it's a very interesting way that Ethereal ended off that draft. I mean, the Xayah Dahaka front line, I mean, it can work just with the amount of shield and healing with the Oriole and Valor, but they don't necessarily have that. Like, they don't have that Muradin, they don't have that Diablo, they don't have that very solid rock on the front, essentially.
Yeah, it's weird to say. Like they've got like, I call it maybe like soft tanking, in the sense that they don't have a solid front line, but they've got the good peel to Haka, they've got the shields from Zarya, whereas No Worries, they've got the Muradin and Tyrael, exceptionally strong. And with Ethereal, it's possible we're going to see Judgment. So Greymane and Tyrael working in tandem, jumping on an Oriole, jumping on a Val, even jumping on a Nazeebo. He's got no real way to escape. So Judgment could actually play a part here.
Yeah, there is that option, but there's also the option of just like going for as much invulnerability as possible. You have
there's the reverse,
You have Uther Divine Shield. That Greymane can feel so safe in going balls out aggression. And it could actually work out. And it's kind of something you need going up against a Valor, or almost a Valor-centric composition. I was just thinking about it again, and even though the Tassadar was banned away, the Xayah can kind of fulfill a similar role to what the Tassadar does in this composition, where you want just extra shields on the Valor. You want to put everything into allowing her to be as aggressive as possible and deal as much damage as she can.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, you get the shields, but what would separate her out from the Tassadar is that the Tassadar shields,
the healing is the big difference. Yeah,
adds the healing. It sticks around a little bit. The Zarya, once the Zarya shield's dropped off, it's gone, but the Tassadar one can stick around. So that's sort of the difference between the two. But yeah, I'm saying right. Zarya is possibly the bargain discount Tassadar.
It's pretty much just a surrogate Tassadar for this kind of composition. But all right, we are into game one. It is between Ethereal and No Worries. I think it's No Worries on the blue side, right?
Yep. Yeah. So
it is Tommy 911604 on the Tyrael, Jasmez on the Li Ming, Leica on the Muradin, Moon Druid on Uther, and Altivian is on the Greymane.
And get ready, because it's Ethereal over on the red side. We've got Touch Me as Valor. Aluminum, of course, is playing Oriole. Penter's on the Zarya. And then we got Greatness on Nazeebo. And last but not least is Siri playing on Dahaka.
Yeah, and very interesting to see how this one goes. Just looking at the drafts, I think I do prefer the lineup of No Worries. It is a very coherent strategy, and like one that we've seen very often, and it work out very often. Whereas on the other side for Ethereal, I'm worried about their front line coming into these team fights. The Dahaka and the Xayah, I'm just not entirely sold on it just yet, but we'll have to wait and see if they're able to or just how they're able to play it out.
Yeah, I'm really it's true. We're looking at him. Lethal's Ethereal's got a harder to execute. Oh, hang on, I think there's a little bit of an issue. One of the skins looks like it is Striker Li Ming. So I believe that's a banned skin actually talking with... So we can't talk to him, unfortunately, because we're observers. But it is a banned skin.
Keep on going, I believe, until something is coming to fruition. But we can just keep on going as as planned. On the top side, it looks like Sarali is getting the advantage over the Ethereal. The Dahaka having the much more efficient wave clear allows the Dahaka to play more aggressively against the Ethereal and is forcing them back, whereas on the bottom side, they're getting engaged.
Yeah, no deaths just yet, but Dahaka, you're 100% right, bullying Tyrion on the top lane. He's giving Ethereal that little bit of an advantage in experience. It's not a high advantage, not going to hold it for long, but it is there. And then we got a little bit of a fight breaking out. Ooh, Lake's trying to go in, but he's taking a lot of damage from the No Worries boys. Just no real follow-up right now. They are protecting their Immortal, but I don't know if it's going to go down. Ooh, Tommy's gone in, but he's getting pushed back by Oriel. But Dahaka's in a lot of trouble. It's actually Valor that falls first. There is no damage for Ethereal right now. They have to get out. This is a bad situation. Oh,
yeah,
for no.
When that Valor goes down, you have to be very careful with how you play in the rest of that fight. A lot of that damage is out the window. And also when that Valor goes down, a lot of the hope generation for that Oriel is out the window as well. So they have to play it doubly careful, but it looks like they want to get back in.
Well, it's early days, so Valor can get back in the fight pretty fast, and you have a slight advantage that Greymane is out of the fight just for the moment. But again, look at all that priority on Muradin. Like, he is in the front line, so I understand they can get a lot of cheap damage off onto him. But if Valor's targeting the Muradin, you're not getting any kills. So they've got a potential to re-engage here. And Uther uses mana, so he can just spend his mana to get his health back. Oriel's gotta have the Valor doing the damage, or yeah, she's dead in the water, like you said.
Yeah, now we're just getting a bit of a race towards the end of the first Immortal. It will go over to No Worries. They just had that little bit of a quicker push, so they have a nice little advantage coming into this first, or they get the first Immortal, and they'll be able to push that a fair bit. But they do have this Dahaka very effectively clearing out waves and giving them some advantage elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they've taken it. Tyriel's had to sort of counter that. And, Dahaka can rotate in an instant. Tyriel is going to take him at least 10 seconds to get to the other side of the map if something were to occur. But look at the Immortals breaking in now. Laker's looking to try and start something, but he takes a lot of damage. That's just giving a lot of hope right now to Lumen. Burial now, touch me! Big bomb comes out from Jesme. Ow, that's gotta hurt Valor. You don't want one of those into the face too often. But the Immortal has fallen, so now they can just start pushing the wave back. And behind all that, Dahaka actually had to return to base, so he actually lost out a little bit to Tyriel just then, and we see a slight XP shift now in the favor of No Worries.
Yeah, they were able to get those outer turrets on the top side, getting that little bit of experience lead as it looks like Lyca wants to go in, Disco.
Oh, a bit of a fight breaking out, but no real commitment just yet. I was having a drink of water just as you said that. But no real, like I said, no real commitment to the fight. And they are a little bit lacking with Tyriel. He kind of like halfway up. But we saw, Ethereal back out, playing it a little bit safe here. And now the experience leads are now pretty much equalized. Both of these teams are doing really well to keep up with experience. But I think we definitely see a bit of advantage in No Worries court just from natural lane pressure.
Yeah, it's essentially it's just right now the structured advantage that is going over to the side of No Worries. They have those two towers down, but with a very strong push coming onto the bottom side of the map, all 5 members here, it looks like they could try and push some kind of advantage coming into the next Immortal.
Yeah, remember, they're going to get these towers now, and that's going to, well, the Immortal will go into the top lane. I don't know if that's going to give them a particular set of advantages, but, in the bottom lane, Muradin's in a lot of trouble, on half health. But they have backed out. The boys rocked up Moon Druid and Jesme. Just persuaded Ethereal to not continue their assault. And, game has been paused.
Alright, just getting a little bit of a pause, but this is a perfect time for a pause as we are getting the next Immortal phase coming in very soon. And we do have Altivian taking down a camp to try and set that up to apply a lot of pressure coming into this next Immortal phase. So, very interesting time to be looking at. Both teams are level 7. We are seeing the Hungering Arrow build coming out of the Valor. Even though this is a map that is very favorable for the Hungering Arrow build, there is an argument to be made for still going for the multi-shot build just as a means to continue generating even more hope for the Oriel. As the multi-shot, you get more damage across more things, therefore you get more hope. That is one of the ideas, but the Hungering Arrow build is still incredibly strong build for this map.
Yeah, and even looking at like the team fight potential and then going up against those immortals and Valor, while the multi-shots build is going to be, is a great build to have, you see that Nazebo's actually gone for the spider build, which means he's not going to have a huge power spike at level 20 with this sort of like toxin stacks. So Valor needs to really focus her damage. She needs to, when they go into a target, they need to burst down. It needs to explode. Multi-shot adds a lot of damage, spreads out, gets everyone on the enemy team, but they don't have that really good follow-up to really take advantage of that.
Yeah, a lot of their fights for the side of Ethereal, it seems like they want to go for those very extended fights. They want to pretty much play the battle of attrition, and more often than not, they will win. They have the Oriole, they have the shielding, and just the sustainability on their side, whereas all you have is kind of the Uther and the Ethereal to try and keep people alive. It is a decent amount of shields and healing, but
oh, look at that little invasion comes on from Ethereal onto No Worries now. They're defending their immortal heavily, but the Nazebo wall actually sections off Ethereal themselves from advancing. But you know what, the No Worries backed out, so. But nice defense here, and you see it's actually Nazebo they've sent down to try and deal with their the enemy immortal, but both immortals now changing sides. And it's on a more defensive play.
Li Ming is that this is something that you can play a little bit more conservative with your approach. We saw the Li Ming just throwing abilities from over the wall, and it was enough to finish off the first half of the Immortal. So if Ethereal want to be defending, they have to be a little bit more aggressive with the defense. It looks like they're going to try it.
Yeah, they're pushing him out. Laker's taking a lot of damage. As the game progressed, Laker is just taking more and more, and once he backs out, it's almost No Worries almost has to completely back out themselves. They don't have their level 10 talents, so there's no either judgment play or sanctification play coming out of Ethereal to really to start a fight or start an engagement. You could almost say that No Worries is a little bit scared going into these fights. And again, it's breaking out. Dahaka has got the pull on Uther, but there's no follow-up from his team. The boys, No Worries deciding to prioritize attacking the Immortal, which means they are going to get the Immortal phase going. It is going to give them the experience advantage, GL.
Yeah, they have a very decent advantage coming into this Immortal phase. I mean, we're just getting Tommy clearing out this wave on the top side. They have a rather sizable shield on this Immortal. Could very well even take this fort if the members of Ethereal aren't careful.
Yeah, look at that. Lake again goes and gets the summon to Zarya. A lot of damage, but Oriole is sitting right there healing up. And look at all that hope that Valor is generating. We're talking about the Hope engine. I think this is the Hope 800 horsepower engine or something like that. I don't know if that's impressive. Maybe that's pathetic. Laker again goes and misses the stun on Touch Me. Touch Me manages to get out, and that is actually going to be a big misplay for him. They actually could have got Valor. She was a little bit out of position, but no go. But they do get the fort anyway.
Gain now. They want to go in onto. They want to go in, but
again
very cautiously
positioning.
despite their advantage.
Well, I think it was just the health. They did get a stun, I believe, onto Oriole, but again, Murden a little bit forward. There was no real follow-up play. We've seen level 10 hit. Ethereal did take Sanctification, so that means it's a very much safe play when Greymane dives in. We can actually see Ethereal drop the Sanctification here. Dahaka in the top lane in a little bit of trouble. Has managed to zigzag in the right direction, but can they escape? It's alright because the Ethereal boys have rocked up and they're going to turn the tides now. Tommy taking a little bit of damage here. Sirius going back in. Dahaka's going, I want a bit of revenge. Give me a little bit of hit and tassel in the top lane, will you? But No Worries, backs out. What a low kill game so far. We're at the 9-minute mark and it's still only 1 kill apiece in favor of No Worries.
Yeah, this is pretty much a product of the kind of composition we have. As Touch Me takes a lot of damage. I think we're seeing a fair bit is when the Ethereal side wants to try and get aggressive. They want to try and start pushing in some of these towers onto these forts. You just see Touch Me on the Valor just cop one Arcane Orb and then is just forced completely back. But this is giving a little bit of room over to No Worries and allowing them to get in and take a camp. And
talking about getting in, Lake has gone in. He's sectioned off Penta. The stun went off. The Nazebo wall came out, but it didn't do a good enough job. Lake is still there, holds him down. Zarya is gone. That's another kill now on the board for No Worries. They just doubled their kill count with that take, but press themselves a good advantage. Li Ming putting a lot of damage on the Greymane now. Sorry, into greatness now, I should say. But
Yeah, it seems my heroes is just crashing. So, huh.
Oh, that is not good. See if we get back into
Yeah,
the see if we get back into the game. But the next immortal phase has come up now for both sides. What are they going to do? Ultivian and Laker are already putting a lot of damage onto the enemy immortal, but Luminium, Touch Me, and Shuri are all coming in to see what they can do. But it looks like it's going to be a 5v5, a breakout fight. Who can take it? No Worries a little bit more advantage. They got a bigger health pool, but Laker is just taking so much damage right now. The focusing on them is huge. Nazebo gets the zombie wall, but Laker has to dive out. So he will live, but there's now no tank for their front line. Moondra's on a lot of damage. He has to use Divine Shield. He will escape, but that's a big heroic used just to keep himself alive. But all the heroics now across the board have pretty much been used up for both sides. So it's going to be a real big fight now, so you can take out. Luminum's on a lot of trouble. Uses the Argus shooting on himself. Comes out of it. Uther dies, but I think we're going to see it kill on... Oh, Li Ming as well. Who is going to follow up damage? Tivian trying to live. Luminum trying to live. Everyone trying to stay alive on No Worries side. But it is actually Ethereal that's going to take out this fight.
Alright, I'm rejoining into the game now. That's a bit of an odd one. I'm not sure why my game crashed, but should be getting into it very soon.
Wow, that is
But
just...
thanks for covering until then.
Missed out on a really good fight. Now it's turned into a little bit of an immortal race here. We're going to see who has the stronger play. Obviously, we've got Ethereal can do a bit more of a defense job, but Luminum out of position manages to get away, but... Wow, Luminum, the Oriole defense. Oh, geez, that's... I would not have said let Oriole go defend the Immortal while we take it. Almost died, got the heal. There's just no follow-up. I guess we saw No Worries. They were trying to focus a lot on the more of their Immortal instead, dropping the shields. They weren't going to get it, but at least they could drop the shield. Laker positioned for a little bit of a dive in, but decided not to. We see Dahaka take a lot of damage there from Li Ming, but they're still going in there. Now a lot of damage, and Vulnerability comes out, keeping people alive. Sanctification has been dropped, but no kills just yet. Nice Sanctification, keeping the No Worry boys alive. But Theo is just going to push in now, take the keep, and they've still got quite a strong Immortal, so we'll be pushing on the enemy's gates very soon. And, oh, this game is starting to run away from No Worries now. But there they are. Tower 1 has fallen now. And the fight's gone on. Laker's gone in. He's looking at the game. He just had the pop stone form. He's in a lot of trouble there. But he has managed to escape. The Divine Shield had to go onto Greymane. But there's no front line now for No Worries. And we are just going to see Ethereal literally turn the enemy team Ethereal when they turn him into ghosts. Tommy's running away now. The chase is on. But Ethereal are broken away now. They're going for a sneaky little invade, which they can do because there's no Murden. There's no front line for No Worries. What are they going to do now? They're going to lose a mercenary camp here. Probably going to see Ethereal think about going down to the bottom lane and pushing. Murden is alive. 13 has been picked up for No Worries. So they're equal talent tiers now. That's going to give them a chance to get back into the game, but... Oh no, GL, I don't know what's...
I'm finally back in, and I feel like I've walked back into the house and it's already on fire.
There was no door.
I stepped away for just a couple of minutes. Everything was fine. It was looking good. And then I come back and it's all gone to hell. But they are still in it. Just looking at how things are going. No Worries still have the tools in their arsenal to try and get back into this game. But so far it's been quite back and forward with how these are going.
It's funny. If we just have a recap of the map, GL. It's actually what you're saying. Like both teams have done a pretty much same job pushing on the map. Level wise, they're in the same talent tier. So there's no big advantage really for Ethereal. They're only one level up. That's about to be 2, but again, it's not a talent tier. But fight is breaking out. Laker's got the stun into Dahaka, taking a lot of damage. Stasis has been popped. It's going to keep Dahaka alive for a little bit longer. But behind this, Divine Shield Sanctification has come out. It's keeping everyone alive, but again, damage is going down. Luminum's on a lot of trouble, but they can't get the damage on. No Worries can't find a stable target, and they have to back out.
Wow, that was a bit of an iffy fight. I mean, it was a very great Sanctification to help the front line of No Worries out, and allow them to stay around that fight, but the damage was just so far away. They were behind a couple of walls that they weren't able to get in and really capitalize on that great positioning of the rest of the team. So
and the
now
great
they're just going to be forced into defensive positioning.
Yeah, and look, they're now trying to defend their Immortal, no worries. It's they haven't done it. There's basically a full shield right now for Ethereal, and no worries going to make a decision here. Do we defend or do we try and break the shield? And it's, look, they're going to have to defend. It's just too late in the game. And Lake has gone in now, dumping on again. Penta taking a lot of damage. Greatness also in a bit of trouble. Big stun comes out from Valor, but connects to no one. This could be No Warriors' chance to get back in. They're pushing it back now. They've got no deaths. Tyrael actually dies. Can he bomb onto someone? Nazeebo's in a lot of trouble, but Ice blocks to safety. Oh, Li Ming is trying to get some big damage plays now. They've got to get some kills here. They've managed to finally connect, but at the price of Muradin. It's 2 for 3. Good trades going on right now, but Li Ming, if she dies right now, it's going to be a bad situation for No Warriors. But she manages to escape. That is a great pickup from No Warriors now. I don't know if they're going to be able to get the Immortal because they need to... They've done that they need to defend. They're doing the right play here. They're not in a position to go back in and fight against that. They're on too much low health. So they're just going to break the shield. But you know what? That was a good play there, getting 3 kills. I mean, 2 for 3. It's not a great trade, but it's a positive trade.
Yeah, it was pretty much as good as the trade as they could get in that kind of advantage. But because they had already been put behind so much when it comes to just the Immortal health and the Immortal race, they were just way too far behind on the play. And because they didn't take down those the massive threat of the Valor, she was allowed to just walk in and just finish off the second half of the Immortal, and now they're still No Warriors still have to try and defend against this when they're down an entire level.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, it was you're 100% right. It's a good fight. They're down the level. They couldn't commit. They couldn't finish off anyone. You know, that's unfortunately the sometimes the level advantage. We say it's not a lot. But you know what, that 3% or 4% or whatever, you know, the percentage increase is for the hero based off their abilities, sometimes it is huge. Sometimes it is massive enough to get it. But look at that zoning coming out of Zarya. That's a nice pull there. But there's no damage. The stun comes out from Valor, locking players in place. But we're going to see another set of kills from No Warriors. They can't quite connect. Moon Druid gets taken out, but he can become a little bit of a pocket healer. Big sanctification, Geo! The big sanctification comes out, and we see members of Ethereal falling left, right, and center. The Immortal has just fallen, and it's going to be a 5-man wipe on the side of Ethereal.
Wow, massive turnaround in that fight. It looks like it looked like a bit of a scrappy one. No one was going down for a lot of it, but as soon as that sanctification the sanctification call came in and everyone just dived all in, and they made the most of that. They managed to just clean up that fight completely. Taking down that Oriole as the first one to go down allowed them to just continue rolling through that fight, and now it looks like they want to at least take down this keep to even it up with this little time that they had to themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that gives them a little bit of experience. They can't get into the keep, unfortunately. They don't have enough time. Like, right now, like, they could do they're not doing a quick rotation. They are going to the bottom lane to try and secure those mercenaries. Gets to try and get pressure out because they know that Ethereal is going to be looking to do the same. All the lanes are really heavily pushed in now for No Warriors, so they've kind of, you know, if they want to play heavily, they have to go really far forward.
Yeah, and this does, even though it was an incredible fight and it was a full team wipe in favor of No Warriors, all it's essentially done is just kind of even playing field, but it looks like they want to go in onto the Haka.
Yeah, again, they got a lot of focus here. Double stun comes out, but it's not going to be enough. They've actually pulled down Uther. Oh no, if Moon Druid falls, it's actually, it's a little bit, it is bad for No Warriors. He'll stick around for a little bit, but you don't want Uther to die, not just yet. Not so early in the fight. But it's just a little bit of a disengage from No Warriors. No Warriors, I have to say, their disengage game, I'm not being rude. Their disengage game is really good. They just know when to get out. But the fight has broken out around the No Warriors Immortal. The Haka taking a lot of damage, could fall here. Look at that. We got Muradin and Ethereal just so deep in the front line. Big sanctification comes out, keeping Muradin alive. But they can't quite connect. No one's fallen. So while the Sanctification has kept people alive, they've now lost that. Moon Druid trapped by Nazebo, but there's no one near to really follow up. Dahak is backed out, so Ethereal is down one member. And all this time, Greymane has been working a little bit on the enemy Immortal, but there's not enough Sanctification. Oh, look at that great Holy Ground there, zoning out, but there's no way they're going to be able to defend their Immortal now without Greymane. So we see them just sort of back out now. And, oh...
It looks like they might just end up giving up. Or it's actually in a rather favorable position to defend, but with Tommy actually going back, it's going to be a little bit harder for them to defend. As you've mentioned, the Sanctification is still down, and that's one of those massive tools that they need, that we've been seeing them use to swing these fights so massively, and they want to keep on fighting though.
Yeah, but look at that Ultivia on the Greymane taking a lot of damage so far. If he gets into a bad situation, he can be taken out, so he's going to have to stay behind and poke. Dahaka actually gets the grab, but behind this, Dahaka will actually fall, not being able to handle all the damage coming his way. And behind that, the Inbred Immortal was picked up, but we're seeing No Worries get taken out of nowhere. We're going to have to contribute that to, let's go in Nazebo. Obviously, the Frogs came out and just punished everyone that was grouped up around that mid-fight. And look at this first game, going to Ethereal.
Yeah, it looks like this could very well just be it. It looks as though that last fight, it was... It's easy to say, oh, it was all the Nazebo, but I feel as though the Uther was just a little bit too distracted trying to just duel away with the Valor, and kind of just left the rest of the team to their own devices, and it just didn't really work out in the end.
Yeah, it just didn't. They I feel you're 100% right on your analysis there, GL. We saw a situation where Uther got out of position just a little bit too early, removed from the fight. Sure, he can still heal. Obviously, he got his spirit form after he dies, but once he's gone, once that's dissipated, you've got nothing else for your team. Sanctification was already on cooldown because they used it just a little bit earlier. So they had no let's call it follow-up safe play. And that was almost the story there we saw of No Worries, is that when the Uther and the Tyrael both had their heroics and they were both in good positions, No Worries couldn't die. But on the back of that, they struggled to get kills. They got kills, they got them, but they struggled. They struggled to get them.
Yeah, was it just a matter of too many heals and too many shields coming out from the side of Ethereal? I mean, the Dahaka soaked up so much damage throughout the course of that game.
Yeah.
The adaptation coming in so clutch a lot of those times, able to pretty much have a second and eventually a third life bar, just allowed him to just soak up so much of the attention and allowed Touch Me on the Valor to do so much work in those fights.
Oh, true, 100%. So, Vandy and Skimmy, what did you guys think of that game just then?
Insane. My prediction was that, based on draft, I was thinking No Worries would be able to take it out because their early game was so dominant. But what I actually saw in the team fights was the Sanctification getting limited value as well as the Divine Shield, exactly as you said. Both teams were really good at disengaging, but it really punished No Worries more when Ethereal disengaged because, as you said, 2 cooldowns blown, and then with Luminum being the battery constantly healing them up, it was just insane. Every time they tried to collapse on anyone that was Aegis, the Ravenous Spirit came out, and that was what the game-winning team fight at the end there was, because they all collapsed on Luminum with that Aegis. Ravenous Spirit came out and mopped them all up. It didn't even matter if Touch Me wasn't there out of the fight until a little bit later after that. It was just heaps of damage, because that 20 talent, I tell you, Nazebo, ooh, big damage.
Yeah, he starts really ramping up.
How weird was that Ravenous Spirit as well? Because generally speaking, we've seen the Gargantuan being the staple for such a long time, but it seemed to be that they just ran out of resources after they tried to burn through the adaptation from Dahaka. Then they went onto the target with the Aegis. After all was said and done with that, they just ran out of damage to actually commit to a target. You saw in that sort of final team fight when Luminum popped the Aegis on himself, they all just dropped. They all just dropped like flies. The Expulsion Zone, the Rain of Vengeance, just the potential just to turn around. The Ravenous Spirit just sealed the deal. So, as Vandy was saying, the early game comp from No Worries looked really, really promising. You've got the double invulnerability to pop off of Greymane. Just wasn't enough.
There was even though, Greymane can stay around and do the fighting, and Li Ming's doing all the burst damage, all the shields, all the ways to survive, adaptation. There was so much on the side of Ethereal. It's like, well, you we have stuff to counter your burst. So what are you going to do after that?
Oh, it's so much damage mitigation, and if Li Ming isn't getting those resets, her cooldowns are quite punishing. She needs those resets to really. So when there were resets happening, Li Ming was having more of an impact. But the fact that they could stall so much with that Aegis, with Dahaka soaking up so much damage with adaptation, that's why Dahaka can be such a threat. Every time you hit him, you're just giving him health with that adaptation on.
That's what we were saying during the pre-game analysis as well, Vandy. You know, Ethereal, we know they love to play these late-game team comps. Yes, Esmeralda doesn't really work on that map in particular, but definitely the Nazebo is a good substitute. He didn't even go for Vial Infection because not the easiest map to stack it up on. But, you know, he reached that late-game stage, and Ethereal just went huge. And I say this is another map where the objective isn't really too strong early game, and sometimes, I mean, at least in Quick Match and Hero League, people will be rushing the objective and pinging you and reporting you as AFK, but definitely you can afford to miss the first few punishes. It doesn't really do too much. Late game, once again, that's when you're really going to pop off.
Yeah, and this is another map where Nazebo can very much come into his own. He can much more efficiently farm up those violent infection stacks, and also, like, he's just a real annoyance to try and deal with when it comes to fighting around the shrine areas. I mean, if he does end up getting picked, I wouldn't be too surprised to see Ethereal pick the Nazebo up, as we are getting into the draft though.
That's it. We're going to see what each side are going to draft. So Skimmy and Vandy, we will catch you guys on the flip side. After this game, is it going to be a 0-2 in the favor of Ethereal, or are No Worries going to be able to come back and tie up this series? We're gonna find out just now. First ban, obviously D.Va. So we're looking at on the Infernal Shrines, looking at the control points. Obviously, D.Va's self-explosion is a great zoning tool, particularly on this map as well, similar to Battlefield in that way. And a new rack being banned out from the side of Ethereal.
Wow.
So. Oh, No Worries going like, gee, that aura was pretty good last game. I think we'll have it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting start to the draft. I mean, the D.Va band, I understand its strength and it's really strong for this map, but I feel as though there are other things that could have been more prioritized, unless they have a very specific idea against Ethereal that they really just don't want to be dealing with D.Va. But the Oriole first pick, I feel as though this is baiting Ethereal into taking the Val in this first rotation.
Yeah, I don't know. You think that's good enough? Like, sure, they could.
I feel this is simultaneously a takeaway and also a bait, because like you pick an Oriole, you need that battery to work. If you don't have that battery, your healing numbers they're very lacking, I will say. So unless they want to go into a double support composition, the two of the best heroes to go alongside that Oriole have just been taken away. So I'm very interested to see where they go with this composition.
Oh, Dahaka and Cassia being picked up. So Cassia with her little lightning ball can get a lot of damage around the shrines because everyone is compacting onto the area. So you're definitely going to get a few bounces there. She's also got her own sort of AoE attack in her fend, so she can deal really good on the can be really good on the objective, but she also does quite a lot of damage, and she can get in there to do her damage. And she's a ranged hero as well, so she doesn't have to be, let's say,
well,
as
range
far
is
forward.
a bit of a stretch.
Minimum range.
It's a rather limited range, but it is range nonetheless.
But just thinking about the Uther, right? The Uther needs to get into stun. Some of the troubles with your more literally melee characters is Uther can stun them when they dive in. Cassia can go in, but there's enough of a gap between her and Uther that Uther actually is the one that has to overstep if he wants to get a stun off, or even if he does get the stun off, can his team that extra 1 meter might be the difference between the team following up to get the kill or not.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see as we are getting through this.
Disbelief there. Disbelief in that. Ultimate
metagame.
Ultimate metagame, GL.
Absolutely. All right. So the Ethereal ban, we saw Tommy coming out with that Ethereal, was doing a fair bit of work. Some of those sanctifications were massive in those turnaround fights, but as Vanny was mentioning, some of them just they weren't really getting the maximum value out of them. And we started to see it wasn't really, they weren't able to get as much out of the Ethereal pick as they probably would have liked. And on the other side, I was going with the Zarya ban, so both sides just like, we saw what you did with those two. We don't want them again.
Yeah, remove these guys off the board. Or even like the Zarya or the Tassadar. Like without the Oriole and you have the Uther, would you still think about maybe picking up the Tassadar with Valor and Uther here?
Yeah, I mean, just any time you can opt into that kind of Trinity composition with the Valor, I mean, it just allows her to play so free and just so aggressive that it's the kind of thing that you really want to be doing as a Valor. If you're playing a very defensive, very passive style of Valor, you're not really going to be doing too much. You want to be playing forward. You want to be imposing your will on your opponents. And when you have any kind of double support with you, you're allowed to do that. And the Tassadar is one of the best in allowing that, just because of the fact that the shields are just so annoying.
Strong shields. You gain, if you're an auto attack hero, the shields give your life back. It gives you sustain. It's something every AA hero wants, a little bit of life sustain in their life. So the Arthas and Li Ming picked up behind that. Arthas generally has a slower engage compared to a lot of other heroes, but on Infernal Shrines or most objective-based maps where you're all congregating on one point, he's there. You have to almost come into him. And when the enemy eventually runs away, because he's the Leech King, his own frost presence is enough to damage everything around him. This is
one of the maps where he does have a rather favorable time, because as you mentioned, if he's able to get set up on the point, you're forcing your opponents to come to you, and that mitigates a lot of the negatives that we tend to see about Arthur, that he's kind of a bit of a semi-weak initiator. But if you're forcing your opponent to try and make their way onto the point, you can just like sit there and just laugh at them. It's like, oh, sure, you want to brawl? I'm down to brawl. And looking at their composition that No Worries have picked up, they ended up with the Charism and the Diablo, so they did end up going for a secondary support to help out with the healing. But it's a rather in-your-face kind of composition coming up from No Worries.
Oh yeah, 100%. I totally agree with you. It's every hero except Oriole, obviously, but support, right? You don't really factor that in. Every hero is nice and close, in your face, and it's just I don't know. What do you think about the Kharazim? I think he's a bit weird because we see Kharazim traditionally when there's there's double warrior on the enemy team, but there's no double warrior in this sense, and they already had Oriole. So you'd assume Kharazim is going DPS build, but there's no double tank to factor in.
Well, the Kharazim is allowed to just like play so, just like when you have the Valor with multi-support, you can play very aggressively. You're afforded this extra room to play aggressive. Likewise with Kharazim, you can play a bit more forward, knowing that you're not the sole support, sole healer, I guess I should say. So you're not relied upon for all of the healing. So he's allowed to be a little bit more proactive in his plays, not trying to just, hey, I'm just trying to keep everyone alive in these fights. He's allowed to play a little bit more aggressively. He's allowed to be on the front line with Jasmez and Leica on these two front lines who want to go in, and Altivian on this Casa. She wants to be going in and she wants to be outputting a lot of damage. Tommy on this Kharazim is enabled to follow in and help out with not only damage but also healing. So very interested to see how this matchup plays out.
And that's it. So here we are. We're on Infernal Shrines. No Worries versus Ethereal. Ethereal 1 point up in the series right now. Can they close the game out now? Or are we going to go into Game 3? We're about to find out. And the opening moments of the game, the little, let's call it the slap. The slap and tickle fest in the middle lane.
Yeah, it's just a bit of posturing just to see who gets a bit of an advantage.
Oh, Moondruid's actually in a lot of trouble here. There was a nice little grab there. Big bomb came out from Li Ming. Not enough to finish him off, but geez, he must have been sweating a little bit under the collar.
Yeah, and that's where that double support really comes in handy, having the healing for yourself and also the healing of another really helping out there in that situation. So a bit fortunate there, but we'll have to see if they're able to keep up those saving plays as we get later in this game.
Kids, Daddy Disco, word of advice, do not face check the bushes.
Especially as a support.
Yeah.
As the oil, you are not the one who needs to be walking into those bushes. You have you have a Diablo, you have a Dahaka, you even have a Karazim who is, when it comes to supports, a little bit more free to make those kinds of plays, but the oil probably shouldn't be the one checking those bushes with the face.
I'm really liking this early rotations here by No Worries, just doing the mid and bottom lane together as a team. Where we just see Ethereal is kind of like, it looks like they're trying to more trap them or bait them, trying to catch them out in a bad rotation. But again, nice fight breaks out in the middle lane here. But the double support, look at that, all that greatness, doing great damage. But Moon and Tommy just like, yeah, we'll just do great healing.
Yeah, and if you just sustain through all the poke, it's not really a problem. You're essentially just letting them throw some of the mana away. And are getting into the first shrine, and it looks like Ethereal are going to be set up first for it.
Yeah, they're poised in a better position here, but look at this big play! Big throw comes on, Valor's out. It's so early in the game. She will be back very soon, but that's actually really hurts Ethereal's chances here on this first shrine. Now, it's the first shrine, GL, so is it important to pick up the Punisher on the first shrine?
It's one that you can more or less give away at the start, but it looks like Ethereal want to try and contest it. They are going to have a bit of an awkward time trying to get in there. They are starting to throw in some.
Oh my god, look at that grab there on the Arthur. So these Arthurs, probably not the best target to grab, but it could have been a big play there. But look at the damage, look at the healing. It's like...
Oh no.
Cassia has been taken out eventually, but you saw that damage come in. Tommy's in a bit of trouble there. It looks like No Worries has to back out. They cannot play the No Worries game right now. Don't live up to your namesake. Get out, boys. No, another kill on the Dahaka. Well, Ethereal got 2 kills. But hey, look at behind that. No Worries actually still picked up the Punisher anyway.
Yeah, they were able to get the Punisher, and we're just seeing what we usually see from these first Punishers. You're lucky to take a couple of the opening towers. And considering that they did lose a couple of members, they're very lucky to even get one of these towers. I think one of these arcane pylons will take it down. Yep. But they pretty much got nothing out of that first Immortal. They did deny it from their opponents from getting it. So far it's just a bit of an even game. We have a slight experience lead for Ethereal, but a lot of that is more than likely just coming down to those couple of kills on the point. But
we talk
not too much to sneeze about.
I was going to say, we talk a lot about in here as, a little bit of a fight breaking out, or Tivian could be in a little bit of trouble here, but there's enough support to keep him alive. They are trying to turn on the fight, but Ethereal's realizing that they can't get the kill, do back out, start playing it safe. Just what I was going to say, just to point the right, we talk a lot of the times about what is the best, can we get the advantage, how do we get the experience? But something sometimes that I guess not talked about a lot is, what can you do to slow down the enemy? And that's kind of the play just then we saw with the Punisher. The Punisher didn't give much, but it stopped the enemy from having it, so it stopped them from snowballing out with a huge experience lead. But, sorry, behind this, I'm going to keep talking, because a little fight's breaking out. Moondoer doing a great pushback with the chains there, really sectioning off Aluminum, but again, the double support, it's just proving double support, wrong side. Uther just proving too much of a good chance to heal people up. I got completely heroes around the wrong way just then. But it doesn't matter, because No Worries grabbed the camp, stole it from Ethereal, managing to get the kill on Leeming. A little bit of a nice comeback play.
She was just used as a ping pong ball. She was thrown all the way into all the walls and ended up dying for it. So a nice little pick up in rotation, and it looks like they're able to push their advantage even more. They are down slightly in experience, but with this little push, it is allowing them to at least be rotating earlier up to the top side of the map for this next shrine. So I think No Worries feel as though they're in a rather decent position.
Yeah, well, no. Position-wise, I mean, advantage. There's no solid advantage for either side just yet, but their Dahaka in the bottom lane can global up here. He can global up and he can really get on the point. And, if anyone wants to challenge him, they have to be down a member. That's the trouble here, is that you stay with Dahaka, you're down a member.
Well, they want to try and work their way onto the point, but looks like they're just going to get a massive fight.
Oh, well, they're starting. The fight's almost engaging. The stun's gone on to Jesme, but there's nothing just yet. Penna's taking a lot of damage. He's blinded, so they all do sort of have to back out. But the orb, oh, that would have been a nice orb. Had it connected with anyone on No Worries, but it failed to. So we see Ethereal here backing out for health. They've got one chance to engage into this. Only 4 more objectives are needed for side No Worries. Make that none. Ethereal have to back out because MVP Punisher is coming down the lane.
Yeah, it seemed like Ethereal were just a little bit too apprehensive trying to get into that fight, and it looks like they're trying to go very deep onto Touchme.
Jesme.
Corey's actually going to come out.
There's going to be a big follow-up here now. The hit does go on the Jesme, so there's a lot of damage going on to Diablo. It is going to halt the No Warriors Assault because they've taken so much damage in that situation there. A little bit of a, bad shadow charge on the side of Diablo's face.
It was an ambitious one, I'll say that much. Was trying to follow up on a target that was locked down by the Punisher, but went a little bit too far in, didn't necessarily have the follow-up support, and with that Molten Core coming in, it just completely dissuaded No Worries from going anywhere near that fort. So another Punisher that doesn't really get too much. They did manage to take down one of the towers, and pretty much those top 2 towers just a bit of a sneeze away and they'll be able to fall down, but level 10 is now up on both sides.
Speaking of a little bit of a sneeze here, we see Laker trying to do a little bit of a sneeze from Dahaka on the Penta, but Penta backs out. Dahaka's on a lot of damage. It's level 10, so he should have his adaptation. It'll be fine, but the big pocket comes out. Oh no, it connects and they get Uther. He can still heal for a little bit, but Ethereal is in a little bit of a problem. They really need to back out right now. Li Ming, Greatness doing a little bit of damage, but not enough. And they can't have to give up anything they are trying right now to No Worries. They have to bow to him. They have to respect the play.
Yeah, it was a nice pickup there. They saw that both sides were level 10. They wanted that fight, and they managed to land it really well. I mean, getting that initial kill onto the Uther. I mean, yes, it's nice to take down the support right at the start, but as you mentioned, Uther, he can stick around for a little bit longer and kind of just spits out healing for days and makes it a bit harder to finish off the other members. And especially when, with this composition, we do have a rather sustainable lineup on the side of No Worries. They want to have those fights that go a little bit longer. They want to try and kind of grind out the amount of healing that this Uther can do, and that's essentially what we've been seeing for a lot of these shrine phases. But coming to this next one, it looks like Ethereal might have the initial play or initial time on the point, and this is going to force them to try and engage onto the Arthas.
And both sides have been doing such a great capturing on this point that whoever has the advantage seems to be coming out on top. But they're down a member at the moment. Dahaka is soaking in the top lane, trying to give even more level advantage. But because he's not there acting as a body, a lot of damage has gone on the Tommy, forcing him out. And they want to go back in, but I don't feel like... Oh, Lager's coming. He's finally coming now on the back line. He's going in. Is he going to grab... not Rhaegar, he's going to grab Ragnarok. Instead, actually picks up Uther. They've got the kill again. This is going to be a big follow-up now if they can follow up on any more damage. Little lockdown in place. They will pull back. Jesme just acting as a little bit of a... let's call it Vanguard, keeping the forces away of Ethereal, but I like to scout now. But look, they come back in. This is actually a really good position for Jesme. Can overpower one of the heroes, and then charge them back into the team. Just when a juicy attack comes down, but that's a nice lockdown by Arthas just then. But again, no follow-up. Greatness is in, throwing out the damage. But the double support, it's just proving too good.
There's just too many heals.
That's too many big heals as well. Now Oriel and Karazim are both AoE healers. So as long as they keep grouped up, yeah, they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and again, we see the Punisher going over to No Worries. It was so close for Ethereal. They only needed, I think, 4 more of those guys to secure it for themselves. But with this Diablo and Dahaka frontline just body blocking any of the seal shots coming out from Ethereal, they just weren't able to pick up those last few, and this is allowing No Worries to continue to apply pressure to the base of Ethereal.
Yeah, and look at this now. We've got Dahaka in the bottom lane. The rest of the boys are rotating up to the top. They can push 2 fortifications behind this, and Ragnaros can only just sit there and defend 1 in his big Molten Core form. That was a... I wasn't sure. I know Karazim's even taken Divine Palm at level 10, something I want to bring up way earlier, GL. He's taken Divine Palm, so when everything's said and done, they can still keep a hero alive. Like, could you imagine a fight a crazy fight where Ethereal was like sort of like I don't know blindsight into Dahaka and he adaptations Divine Palm and then the Crystal Ages from Aura.
Literally days.
Yeah.
He has the ages. He has the Divine Palm, and the Dahaka also has the adaptation, so he could literally just live for days.
And you are seeing Ethereal does have they are prioritizing their damage onto Laker, but Laker's going to the back line, so you can kind of understand that. The panic. Imagine this a giant, ugly, I guess a robotic monster, I guess at the moment, who just appears in your back line. What are you gonna do? You're gonna press all the buttons, like, oh, get off me!
and also the fact that the Laika on this Dahaka is drawing so much attention from the Valor or the Leming, whoever he ends up prioritizing.
Yep.
It's drawing so much attention away from the high priority damage dealers in Altivian on this on the Cassia that it's allowing her to get so much damage down and allowing her to get all that hope in. It looks like they want to keep on fighting as the energy ball goes out.
Oh, and look at that, the big Apocalypse comes off. He's going to clip Arthur. They should be able to get the kill there. Uthis has a Divine Shield himself, but they are chasing right now, not able to fully commit. So it looks like they are going to try and back away right now, but are they in a good position? Li Ming doing a lot of damage, but they're doing so much damage, but then it's just getting healed up. It's amazing to watch. But finally, Ethereal said, no, let's back out. Let's give this up. They've got 2-level advantage. Shrine's about to spawn. Let's go lick our wounds and get ready for the next big fight.
And in the end, we all end with full HP bars on the side of No Worries, despite that entire drawn-out affair. It looked like the Diablo was going very low, but in the end, all the healing comes out, and even though I'm pretty sure he hasn't even gone back anywhere, and Jesmez is still pretty much full health, full mana, and he is in just like a fine position to hold on to this shrine. So this is a really obnoxious comp to deal with as Altivian gets locked down. It looks like they're trying to get onto the squishy backline. Yeah,
but they're really pressured right now because Karazim a little bit late. Could they get a kill? Oh my god, Valor out of position, taken out. Arthas is the next victim in this I don't know what they call it, concave of death that No Warriors have set up. If you're not one of us, you get destroyed like the rest, you non-believers, you heathen. Auriel and Karazim creating a whole new basis of punishment in this game. They're not even doing Karazim's doing a bit of damage, but it's not their damage that's impressive, it's the amount they're both healing.
Yeah, if you're just looking at the numbers, like hero damage numbers aren't all that impressive on the side of No Worries. The reason they're able to keep these fights going in their favor is they just don't die ever. We just have so much healing, and if anyone is at a chance of dying, there's so many high impact heroics that just refuse to let anyone die. So it's just these drawn out affairs, which is just how No Worries is grinding this game. Oh, a nice charge onto the Molten Coring Ragnarok. That's going to be down for a while, and they're just going to keep on pushing through.
Look, even though the Apocalypse didn't hit, it actually pushed back the entirety of Ethereal now. They will be able to get this keep easily in the base. But again, looking at the fights, Ethereal needs to think about how they're going to try and deal with these supports. It might be too late now to do anything about it, because they are just such a disadvantage now. What is that, 3 levels higher right now? Talent tier advantage. Ragnaros is getting chased out of his own base. They come... Gia, what would you do? Someone comes into your house, they kick you out of your house, and they chase you away.
They chase you down the street as you're running from the house. I mean, it feels bad, man, but that's pretty much what we have here. I mean,
this is
even when the Divine Palm missed, you got literally no value out of it. But because of just the amount of healing, it didn't really matter that they missed it, and it looks like this is just going to be game.
Oh, I cannot believe that. Such it's like pears and apples, like chopped liver and chopped cheese. I don't know what the analogy is anymore. It's No Worries. They've come back in the set. They've pulled this back to a 1-1, and compared in the first game, they pulled out this great composition and double support. They kept their guys alive, and I really think it really comes down to how much pressure they put on Valor. Valor couldn't follow up and get those massive stuns off. You know, Oriole and Karazim can AoE heal, so if you can't stun them both, you can't stop the heals, and they can kind of stagger those out. But because of Dahaka really punishing, punishing Valor, I can't remember a time that I even saw a big Rain of Vengeance actually stun a healer, you know, in that entire game.
They were getting some stuns here and there, but they just didn't have the follow up, and they just could never secure those kills. By the end of the game, it was 9 kills to 2. The Cassia died. I think the only 2 deaths were on that first shrine phase when Dahaka and Cassia went down. Those were the only 2 deaths for that entire game. Yeah. For no worries. After that,
each hero had the time to ramp up as well. They died. Who cares if you die in the first 60 seconds? Who cares? This is nothing. This is called Heroes of the Storm, mate. 20-minute games, not Hero of the 1 minute.
What I want to say is, all build Li Ming. That's disgusting. So first show already this morning. Need to have another one because I tell you what, you don't see that build for a reason. Dirty. Look at the damage.
Yeah.
Greatness loves that build though. He's shown time and time again that is his build of choice. He's not about the Calamity life, unless I guess forced to. But really, I think it all went down in draft. So by opening with the Oriole, by taking the Val away, denying the combo, perhaps they were forced down draft they didn't really want. And then we saw they were anticipating perhaps the Valor pick, and then they picked accordingly by picking up the Dahaka, the Diablo, and even Karazim. Just so many targets that can get in Valor's face. So she was just getting no value, completely shut down, like you said. So if she can't be the hyper carry, what's she doing? She's just dead weight, right? That's a problem with Valor. Just not enough tools. Like, yes, they were kind of appealing for it, but it's too much to deal with. And we sort of saw that in the team fights breaking out.
You've seen a little bit of awkward for Office to try and engage.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying in the drive, as I was saying, Valor, you can't really play defensively and still get the value from the pick. You need to be playing aggressively, and imagine that comp didn't allow it to do it.
But I mean, if we look at the build as well, Touchroom went full auto attack build, which is questionable at least. I mean, it's like single target damage. So I mean, if they'd gone like the multi shot combined with the orb, that's a lot of spread damage. You got the same sentiment then with Ragnaros as well. So they've had a lot of damage across multiple targets. It's just been a case of them picking one to execute. But when auto attack damage, you got 2 blinds that come out from both Oriole, and then you got the Cassia as well. So yeah, I wasn't convinced by it. There's a reason why you don't see the auto attack build chosen too much.
Yeah. It's going to be either hit and I think as well, especially when you know that there's going to be a blind, you're going to get so much more value out of getting the multi-shot, having the cleave damage going off. But it was also a really nicely done draft by No Worries. So, yeah.
Very interested to see how that is going to shape this next draft. We're coming into Game 3. It's going to be on Tomb of the Spider Queen, another map where you can play that Valor, Oriole, plus X support. Do we see an Oriole ban or even a Valor ban?
I think Oriole will have a lot of priority again because this time around you can still go with the Valor like you mentioned, but Gul'dan once again is another great pick. One of the higher picks in this map in particular still works with the Oriole as the battery.
Oriole
always
will
have
be
the
priority.
flex with like say Leoric or even Chromie. We've seen Chromie played on there before. If these teams can play it, you just do the one shot between that and an Entomb. Or even you do the Chromie as the response to the Aegis. You know, the Aegis gets baited out. You got your combo sort of set up. They play the Aegis. They get one shot. So there's counterplay. It's whether or not these guys have that roster available to them.
It's going to see whoever takes the Oriole, it'll dictate the pace whether they're going to pick up Valor or Gul'dan, like you said. But if they do, there's counters available, especially on a map like this where the Chromie can come out and get a lot of value, as you said, Skimmy. And even then, even Valor, it's Valor. Like, you can get in her face. Don't worry about it. You can also pick against. So it's not the be-all, end-all.
You might even see another Diva ban again. We saw No Worries ban again, the one on Battlefield of Eternity. This is another good map. Not as good as it would be on, say, like Infernal Shrines or Cursed Hollow, but another good map where you're fighting in close quarters. And we've seen earlier this week the boss pit froze, as we call it, another sort of chokehold area. We like to see No Worries run these like dive-heavy comps. So if they have a dive-heavy comp, you know, Diva completely screws all that. And another thing we haven't seen any Genji, which is
I'm a little bit surprised by that.
Given that Genji is so damn strong, there's not been any pairing.
I haven't really seen Genji being picked up a lot on Tomb. Yes, he's often been banned, but I think people prioritize a lot more of that siege. That's where really Genji can fall short. People like the siege and the burst and follow up like that. Genji, yes, he can go and get the kills. He's just not as much as a common. If people want that style, they're going to opt for a Grey main because he can bring the wave clear and the dive.
What about this, though? Here's a crazy thought. We know that Ethereal love to play Asmodan. This is a good map for Asmodan. They've played it on this map before.
Asmodan and Nazebo.
Are they going to bring
those two picks? It can work really well.
Yeah. Are they going to do the best of 3, bring it to Asmodan, and get the big crab lord, bring the pain?
Hey, that's their comfort. That's their go-to. So, yeah. I'm ready. I think we're going to see it.
Well, we're loading into it right now. Let's go. Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Very, very interesting. All right, so we have Ethereal with first ban.
So we talked about it. Do you feel the Asmodan coming out? Do you feel it in your heart?
I kind of want to see it.
I want it to be real. It is something that we don't see a lot normally.
Yeah.
But as Vandy was saying, it is a very big comfort pick for the boys. But we haven't seen it the last 2 games. We haven't even seen it hovered. We haven't even seen it thought about. So.
And I'm just wondering if we're going to see different bans. We've seen Diva and Anubarak by like identical bans both games so far. I mean, the Anubarak could very well just be another ban here for Ethereal. It's still a very solid ban to take away, but
yeah, it's not a bad ban.
It is going to be the Oriole ban. They do take it completely. They don't want to be first picking it, but they really, really do not want No Worries to pick it up, and they do actually manage to get their hands on the Anubarak. So I'm already liking the start for Ethereal.
Well, they first picked Anubarak, and he is a strong pick. And we've seen him a lot on Tomb of Spider Queen, but this gives that interesting caveat, GL, about picking up maybe someone like Li Ming for No Worries. But I'll let you explain that in greater details, because you're the one that told me.
Oh, yeah.
The Li Ming caveat against Anubarak.
Yeah. One thing that we saw in the mid-season brawl was that even though like Anubarak, he was like still like consistently at the top of the meta, and people were like, oh, well, what are we doing with Cocoon? It's just such an annoyance to deal with. Oh, turns out Disintegrate just shreds in like a second flat. So even though there's the whole, well, when Anubarak got all that spell armor, it's like, you don't want to be picking Li Ming into, or any kind of mage into Anubarak. You're just playing into his playstyle. It's like, well, there is that, but Li Ming still just has a ridiculous amount of damage and also completely nullifies that massive, potentially game-changing heroic in the Cocoon. So that's one thing we started to see over the course of the mid-season brawl. I mean, it's something that could be picked up on either side, really, but it's going to be the KT and the Johanna. So they are very much prioritizing wave clear on the side of Ethereal.
And this is a map where you do that. You know, Team of the Spider Queen, obviously, if you can clear your lane fast. It gives you the opportunity to hand in gems, gives you the opportunity to rotate to other lanes to get kills. So wave clear is always huge. And of course, when you capture the spiders, or you have to verse those web weavers, I should say, the lane clearing or the wave clearing helps tremendously. So you can see why they're prioritizing it. And you know what? Anubarak and Kelthus and Johanna, that's not a bad lineup. You know, it's not like they've had to sacrifice anything really to do this.
Yeah, and now coming to the second ban, so we could even see Ethereal just ban away the Tacita just to completely negate that potential of that Trinity combination with the Valor. And we're talking about the Asmodan, that can still come in. Never mind.
Respect all around. No worries, respect that.
But the Nazebo can still be a thing. We'll talk about comfort. The Asmodan was the one, the Nazebo was the second. That's still on the board.
But will they take it? And I mean, I don't know if it's like Nazebo has always had a little bit of an affinity on Tomb of the Spider Queen. I don't know if there is any synergy, but I don't know. I just remember that there's almost on Tomb of the Spider Queen, there's always been a place for Nazebo. I don't know, is it a color palette thing? He just looks good on the map? It's a weird one.
It could be the thing where he throws spiders around, so he's just really at home. No, it's
Yeah,
the fact
yeah,
that like he could really efficiently go from lane to lane and get up those passive stacks to really efficiently get the 170 by the time he's level 20, get the viral infection, and really just balloon or just like massively spike with his damage late game. And this is a map that can tend to drag out to the late game more often than not. So going with the Nazeebo, you're pretty safe in assuming that you will be able to get level 20, will be able to get that 175 violent faction stacks, and will have that massive late game power spike. So that's one thing we could see, to be honest, on either side, really.
Yeah, it gives it. Yeah, the teams, if as long as you're a competent player and you're good at stacking, it's almost a surefire bet that you can get on this map.
Yeah, but now we're waiting for No Worries in their next 2 picks. Is that Tassadar still available with that Dahaka ban going through? And it is actually going to be picked up. They pick up the Arthur, so they have the massive, well, not a massive, but they have a really beefy front line in the Arthurs alongside that Uther, and we have that Trinity combo for No Worries.
Well, not the Trinity combo they'd probably like, but one that is
still
just
an
as
incredibly
good.
strong.
So who are they gonna last pick? Like we still need to see support come out of Ethereal. You know, probably maybe follow-up damage or something of that regards as well. And then they could go with so many things here, right? They could look at maybe the Grey Main. If they're thinking about a double warrior support, I mean, Tychus could still be on the board. And there's support. Yeah, sky's the limit. No support's been banned out but Oriel, and it's only Uther on the other side. So sky's the limit there. Reyna and Morales.
Reyna Morales, wow. I mean, that's something I would have expected, but looking at this comp, they do have an incredibly solid front line, so they can afford to have a bit of a more vulnerable backline and just try and protect that. I mean, looking at the other side on the and what No Worries has, you don't necessarily have that massive backline threat. So I guess it's actually fair for Ethereal to pick up this rather vulnerable composition, rather vulnerable backline, because they feel rather safe in the fact that as long as they position reasonably and don't put themselves in like really weird and dumb situations, they can be very safe with the front line that they have.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's an analogy and just what No Worries. Yeah, there's just
literally anything with this last one. It's actually
Sonya. I was trying to think to myself, like, I was thinking like maybe like a Grey Main or something to dive because they need an option to get onto Lieutenant Morales. They needed that option.
I was actually thinking something like a Diablo, something to try and shift some people around. I mean, Diablo does have a fair bit of value on this map. Could even have been the Leoric just to have that solo laner and try and get some Entomb plays to work with. But it is going to be the Sonya, so still a very solid solo laner, and will be able to pretty much do whatever she wants when it comes to the 1v1. And maybe she can get some of those good flanks and really apply pressure to that backline, can really just sow some chaos in the Ethereal lineup.
Yeah, I really like it. I like where this is going. I think I'm going to be a little bit biased there. I really like Sonya. Like, I think she's a great hero. I really enjoy her plays.
I'm quite the opposite. I'm just sick of versing her, to be honest. She's just too annoying to deal with. If you have like a really good Sonya and you have the support to back her up, she can be so obnoxious to deal with. She just sustains like nothing else when mid-fight, and she can do a decent amount of damage to boot, so it'll be a very big X factor for them.
X factor indeed. So let's talk about the Team X. No Worries, where we got Jesme is actually playing on the Sonya. Moondrew would be Uther. Ultivian is going to be your Valor. Tommy is Tassadar. And Leica is actually going to be Arthas.
Alright, and on the red side we have Ethereal. We have Touch Me on the Kalthar, Samurai on Johanna, Penta on Anubarak, Greatness on the Reyna, and we have Aluminum on the Lieutenant Morales.
And it starts
All right.
So
we actually
Moon
get
Druid,
action
is that the second time we've seen Moon Druid do a little bit of a face check like that and not
Well,
quite
at
get
least
caught out,
this-
but
This time he's the Uther rather than the Oriole, so he can actually survive a bit of a punch.
yeah, he could take a hit or two. So a little bit of early aggression there, nice big pull in there from the Johanna, but is it going to be enough? Jesmy gets living bomb, does a good job actually getting out of there so it doesn't spread. So a lovely positioning, lovely play. That is like the biggest factor. You forget you're playing KT. That bomb spreads. He can just do so much damage, and he has taken convection at level 1, of course. So once that stacks up, he'll be doing well. But in the bottom lane here, Octavian could be in a little bit of trouble. The stun comes out on Johanna, but it was too late. Condemn's already in effect. And, Lakers actually coming. They're actually trying to reverse it now. Octavian do the damage on Aluminum and gets him. Early kill on Morales. But Octavian had to pay with his own life. So a nice little return play there. Arthur's just like, nah, it's too late, Octavian. Your time is now. I'll see you when you respawn.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I was wondering about going through the draft, is that unless they're positioning poorly, which we kind of saw there, the Morales should be quite safe, but a nice flank coming in from the Arthur's managed to pick up that, and this has slowed down the rotation play that we've been seeing so far, and it looks like we're just kind of going into just like standard laning, which is a little bit aside from the norm than what we usually see in Tomb of the Spider Queen.
It is, but I mean, both sides are keeping up pretty well for the moment. Oh, Arthas is in a little bit of trouble. It's actually funny, Arthas, there was 3 people around him, and it's Johanna that's taking the majority of the damage. Lake has gone in. It looks like he's trying to hold down. Greatness is in a lot of damage, but his adrenaline rush kicks in, keeping him alive. They're pushing on the pressure. Moon Druid's got the bomb back out. Octavian just misses the explosion, but manages to pull out. Wow, I actually felt like no Warriors could have lost someone else just then.
Yeah, it just ended up being the amount of healing coming out from Luminum on the Morales. I mean, you have a lot of single target, well, the damage coming out from No Worries, it just wasn't really sticking. You have a lot of durability on the Johanna. She's okay to just cop it and return it in kind, and Morales was able to just keep on sustaining the team through, and they will just turn it around. So we'll have to see if they're able to get these fights going a bit more in their favor as we get later into this game. We're getting back into that rotation play coming out from Ethereal with this very wave clear centric composition.
Oh, interesting little bit of a loop around there. It's like they were coming down to try and get the gank on the guys in the bottom lane. But Moon Druid's actually been pulled in by the Condemn, but he's still safe. I was just trying to figure out what's happened there. I missed the Condemn from Johanna. Like, how did they pull Uther back in? Did they give Lieutenant Morales a hook?
Grenade from the
Oh,
Morales.
the grenade from Morales. Yeah, it was Morales.
Yeah.
I know I missed something. But look at that, they're backing out now. I like that little rotation. They were rotated to the mid, but they saw that the overextension by No Worries in the bottom lane, so they came back down. I love that play. A bit sneaky.
So far, it's been a rather conservative early game. We did get a couple of kills back and forth, but apart from that, it's just been No Worries just wanting to... not Worries. Ethereal want to just keep on clearing the waves, just as his massive 4-stack, try and be as safe as possible, just trying to get as many gems as possible, and not allowing No Worries to try and dictate the pressure with this Holy Trinity combination.
And they're doing a great job of mitigating it. They come in, the damage gets dealt, but they still manage to get away. But the web weave is actually going in the favor now of Ethereal. This is going to be a time when they can have a little bit of a breakaway moment. How well they treat this. Big rotation coming down. Arthas might be in a little bit of trouble in the bottom middle lane, but Jesmy comes in, stops Johanna from following up, and the rest of the team finally arrives. Now it looks like there's going to be a big middle fight breakout, but both sides just being really cautious at the moment.
We have a lot of rather safe wave clear on both sides, so they can afford to be a little bit standoffish, as Tommy takes a lot of damage. It looks like he might get taken down.
Oh, but look at that.
Mental shit.
Too good. Oh, he does get taken down.
The Spider Queen, or the
MVP
Web Weaver,
there.
kind of coming in with the assist there.
Oh, a little bit of Hadouken come out and gets Tazza feeling a little bit safe, but you should not feel that safe, boy. Never. And they're going to push in this. They'll actually get this fortification now. I love this. Anurak's in the top lane, so they're dual soaking both lanes. Oh, Ethereal, they're starting to turn this game into a little bit of a runaway.
Yeah, they've just from that one kill, it just allowed them to play so much more aggressively, and it looks like they're just able to push in that first forward. It looks like they want to start moving to the bottom side, but the wave clear is there. But Altivian taking a lot of damage.
A lot of damage, but
Jeez.
everyone's a little bit scared to follow up because of the fortification still active and Sky. A lot of bullets, but a big minion wave has come in, so now they can fight a little bit. Look at this Altivian hanging around. They don't want to give up the fortification, but without Altivian on a good amount of health, they kind of, I don't know, they're kind of just floundering a little bit. His health is a little bit higher now, so he should be able to go in, but there's 4 people in that bottom lane. That's a bit scary right now.
Yeah, they've got that Holy Trinity together. They want to keep those 3 together because that's the most efficient way of getting that combo to work. But I feel like they're just falling to the... they just don't... For some reason, I feel as though the healing from the Morales is kind of outdoing the Uther Tacita on top of the Valor. Which is a little bit weird to say, but that's just what it seems like is happening in a lot of these engagements.
Well, we know that it just does so much... Oh, touch me. It's a little bit of bad position, but Laker actually missed. So it's not going to lock him down, so he will be completely safe now. And we're going to see a reverse now. Level 10 has been picked up from Ethereal. Can they make a massive play here? None of the team is really in a good position right now. They are rotating up to the top lane, however. We're just going to see if the fight breaks out. Nurak goes in. He does get Jesme, but Arthas comes in, sort of pushes back Touch Me. Can't get really good positioning. But we see the healing come out from Loom now, keeping Johanna alive. No Warriors just backing out, not wanting to do the fight. They have just hit level 10, but they kind of had to make the decision to back out and then we would call it reassess their situation once their level 10 talents have actually been picked up.
Yeah, with the Cocoon coming down onto the Uther, the rest of the members of No Warriors, they had to be very careful with how they played out that fight. They wouldn't have had that burst healing that...
Oh, hang on. Is this a bit sneaky here? Have they seen them?
Oh.
Have they seen them?
That could have been bad.
Oh, I think... No, they must...
Going to...
No, they did. They've
Oh,
waited their time.
Wanted...
Are they going to go in?
Oh,
Jesme's got leap! Is the big leap going to come out? The big force ball! Look at that! Divine shields come out, and it's not going to do... It's not... It's just there for looks. It just meant that Sonya could go hard. Oh, that was beautiful. And they were so patient, and they waited so much. What an amazing force ball, and the game has been paused.
Wow. Jesus. We're waiting for something to happen. We saw them... they were essentially playing Metal Gear Solid. They're just sneaking through the base. And, well, through the other side of the map. But, yeah, that force wall just locking them in the cage, and that leap just slamming it down. I mean, I don't think they necessarily needed the Divine Shield onto the Sonya, but it was just a bit of a cherry on top. But... My God, that was an incredible engagement, and this is going to allow No Warriors to really get themselves into this game. They were pushed around a little bit. With this Holy Trinity combo, they've actually been getting pushed around a little bit just in these face-offs. But now that they've got that big fight, they will be able to take this keep in the middle, or not the fort in the middle lane, and maybe even try and get some advantages elsewhere. They are close to getting enough gems for another turn in. We'll have to see where they end up going with next, but. Yeah, that could be a massive turning point for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big play there. That was a sneaky camp damage, and they waited it out. They were in such a... Did they just wait it out? They baited it. You saw them. They sat there in the brush. They saw them sneak past to go it, and now they just sort of sit back and wait, and I guess wait to see what happens.
Yeah, we saw that aluminum on the Morales pretty much just like stood right next to them almost. I'm pretty sure it was in vision as she was mounting up, but the patience on the side of No Worries, they didn't want to go then, but the perfect timing to get into that fight, and geez, that's not one you want to be. You don't want to be finished off a camp and then realizing, oh wait, there's the entire enemy team coming in right now, and there's nothing we can do about it. We'll have to see. Now that we're back into the game, where the rest of No Worries go. It looks like they're just not even going to worry about the minions. They just want to take down this fort. And there's pretty much nothing that Ethereal can do right now about it.
Yeah, they've just got to let them have it. But they did manage to get a kill from Valor there once the port did come back off. But the Cocoon to Laker. No, good position. These Force Balls come out, so he should be able to back away. But choosing to continue the fight, even though they don't have a Valor, I guess maybe they saw the potential there for Ethereal to kind of overrun. So Arthur's like, well, look, if I stay behind and die, it holds them back. But the Force Wall was there. They should have pulled out. I feel they should have pulled out when the Force Wall was up.
Yeah, it was a bit of sticking around a little bit too long. Yeah, they kind of got stuck in there with some of the crowd control, but without that Valor, they just weren't able to dish out the amount of damage that they needed to stick around that fight. And throughout all of that, Altivian taking a lot of damage. It actually doesn't at all as the leap comes in.
And touch me. He is being touched. That is for sure right now. A lot of damage, but Montez Morales is healing him up. Behind as they're going in, there was a nice sort of a lockdown there by Laker. But we see the Hyperion come out. The Force Ball comes in, trying to section someone off. They only captured Penta, not the greatest of targets. He's taking a lot of damage. But look at that unstoppable bit popped the Raider, but Raider will be taken out. He can't escape. And Altivian gets the Divine Shield, so we can just do a lot of damage trying to go forward, playing safe. And Johanna was killed on the retreat. Nice, big play there by the No Worries boys. However, they do have to deal with the Web Weavers, so is it more of like cancellation of play? They will hit 13 first, but now they have to respond to the Web Weavers, so they are lacking an opportunity to push down another lane, another fortification, something of that description. So big play, they got the level advantage, but GL, did they really...
It was probably the best that they could have done from the situation. I mean, yes, they're not really able to have the room to try and get something to happen, but it looks like they really want to get something to happen, but they're not going to be in position to do so. But with the timing of getting that really good fight and forcing away the members of Ethereal, it allowed them much more freedom to finish off those Web Weavers and losing pretty much the minimum. They've only just lost a bit of some tower shots here and there, but this is allowing the rest of No Worries to come back in time to defend this top keep win. Oh, top keep, I mean fort. I keep on always getting them around the wrong way for some reason. But the top fort is going to be defended, and when you're looking at just the map in general, the top lane ends up being one of the more important due to the situation of the boss. But it looks like we're getting another fight, Disco.
Yeah, a lot of damage trying to go out from Penny and Laker. They kind of want to start a fight, but everyone else is like, oh, look at that, the Sonya's gone in! Big dive to follow up Rain of Legend from Val and the Force Wall. There's no escape. Big bomb comes out from KT as his last moment, his dying wish. But wow, they're explosive. They were looking for No Worries. Jeez, that was like No Worries, boys. We've got this. That was an amazing moment. Like, so Laker and Penta and the Arthurs and their new rack were kind of playing around with each other, but we saw no big commitment from either of, like, let's call it the back line. But then all of a sudden,
there was no commitment until there was literally all commitment, and everyone just went in, and that leap managed to lock down pretty much the whole team into the massive Rain of Vengeance.
Yeah,
that was massive, and although the KT did get out a lot of damage throughout that, as you were mentioning, those the bombs were doing a lot of work, the flame strike, this residual damage was doing a lot of work, but it just wasn't enough because he died immediately.
Oh, that's just... Yeah, like the damage was there, but there was no extra follow-up from the Rainer. We saw him use Hyperion. Like, he didn't even get a chance to get Hyperion out. He's used it defensively now behind this boss, but they're going to clean this boss up, and then they're going to have to deal with the Web Weavers. They're going to clean the Web Weavers up. Behind that, we're probably going to see more pressure from No Worries as they rotate down to the bottom to clear that fortification. But they could potentially live for the Web Weavers. However, this time they're going to try and be a fight in the top lane, actually. Seeing Ethereal come out of base. Looks like I'm actually just going to push behind this Web Weaver instead.
As I was just saying before, this is one of the lanes that you really want to take down primarily because of the fact that if you manage to get this keep down. Once you get the boss later on, it will be moving directly onto the core as we keep getting the fights going.
Yeah, but a big, nice condemn there comes up down and pulling
God.
everyone in. A nice force wall comes down. Divine Shield was used. Tazdo, however, has been taken out this time. But it looks like it's a 2-for-1 trade so far. Penna's on low health. Johanna's on low health. They are trying to back out. KT is still alive. He gets the gravity lapse onto Sonya. But it did not go their way. Tassadar, not the first time he's sacrificed his life for his team to secure a victory on the map. But here we go, onto the core now. They've got 10 seconds to try and damage the score as much as they can. Do you think they can do it? Do you think this is a winning play right now?
Or with the Cocoon going down onto the Foul, that's a lot of their damage just mitigated for now, but I'm not sure if they can get it. Luminum is back with the healing, and there's a lot of low members on the side of No Worries, and it looks like they're just dying left, right, and center. Looks like they don't have enough.
Oh, 32, 30%. Desperately trying, but it's not going to be enough from Sonya. On the 25%, they managed to do, what, 3/4 of that core's health.
Yeah, just a little bit of... I'm not sure if it was a little bit of over-aggression. They were very close to getting it, but I think with how much they were just stacking up towards the end there, it was just allowing KT to get so much value with those flame strikes. With the flame bombs, they were just able to get so much value and finish them off before they could finish that off. But still, 25% left. That is going to force Ethereal to be very cautious with how they play the rest of this game. Any kind of disadvantageous fight, they lose a couple of members, it could very well just end the game.
Oh. Yeah, like they're in an ultimate win condition now. If they wipe, if they get a clever boss, if they get another hand in, there is so much pressure now that can go into the top lane, and with a 25% core, Winions, you know, distract Ethereal long enough, and their core will go Ethereal, right? That's the so many win conditions right now. But look at this.
It looks like they're trying to get another repeat play going, but KT doing a lot of damage, but he's going to be able to get healed up. But yeah, it's a very precarious position for Ethereal to be in. As you mentioned, those minions are going to be continuously pushing on the top side of the map, so that's one thing they're going to have to be continuously aware of. But because their attentions have to be drawn to that top side of the map, this is just allowing No Worries to control pretty much the rest of it. And even though they are very much behind when it comes to gems, they're quite a fair way away before they can get another turn in. Might be a little bit harder for Ethereal to actually get in, but now that they've found a little bit of position, they'll be able to get a decent hand in, but I'm not sure if it's enough to fully hand in.
But it doesn't matter because No Worries are going to fight him off point now. Trying to force Nurax has gone out. They've had to use the Phoenix, so they've wasted a heroic behind this. A nice situation there for No Worries, but they didn't manage to catch anyone from Ethereal, so Ethereal are still in this game. Their levels are still... They're still the same. So even though they've got the lane pressure against them, Ethereal can still really easily come back in the set right now. Another wipe like they did before around their core could see them score victory.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just really hate when you're playing. Is like you get your head so far, you're pretty much just one solid hit away from landing the knockout blow, but you just keep on just missing that last shot and allowing your opponents back into the game. And as we get later and later into this game, some of those fights, if they go as catastrophic as they can be, you could just end up losing everything that you've worked for in this entire game so far.
Oh, I mean, so easily. And look behind this, the lanes are pushed in so heavily now.
Boss is up.
Yeah, they've had to rotate to the boss. Now they're going to kind of bait this a little bit. Looks like they are playing a little bit of a baity game. They're waiting for him to come in.
They can afford to bait for pretty much however they want. If they can just draw the members of Ethereal into that boss pit, they've got 3 catapults working their way into the base, which they have to deal with.
Yeah, and the way the lanes are also pushed in as well is that they've got the advantages on all the lanes. So they're going to reduce all the ammunition in the towers as well. So, yeah, it's all... No worries. Like, they can... It's no worries, mate. We got this. We can spend all day here if we want.
Yeah, it feels like it's just a matter of playing cat and mouse. It's like, do you bait them into the boss? Do you just try and force them elsewhere? It looks like Ethereal are trying to just bite the bullet, try and get a turn in to get some web weavers to alleviate a lot of that pressure in the waves, but
it's almost putting them in a bad situation because No Worries knows that, and so they've got the predictability of what Ethereal has to do is all in No Worries court, and they're just denying the hand in.
They have all the time to work with. They are continuing to delay, and even if they do get one of these hand ins in, they need to get two of them because not one person has enough as they do. Try getting big to two members.
Yeah, but Penna's they've finally gone. They've had enough. The Cocoon's gone out, but I just can't see any damage really focusing down on anyone on the board just yet. Jesme's in a lot of trouble. Killed. Couldn't get onto the Morales. This is actually really big now in Ethereal's favor. They're getting the heals out. They're slowly getting damage across everyone on the board. Lake is in a little bit of trouble. In a lot of trouble, I should say. Taken out. Ow! Oh, God. MVP Penta. The Anubrak getting in. This is going to give them a boss, and this is going to give them a wave. This is going to give them web weavers. This is a big moment now for the side of Ethereal. Can they do it? What?
It's starting to look more and more. It's starting to look more and more likely. I mean, it was a bit of a awkward try and attempt at a re-engage on the side of No Worries. They had two members getting locked down for a little bit by the Nubarak, and then they felt as though that they could try and take the fight. Jesmez on the Sonya died mid-flight, and then they just kept on taking so much incidental damage from the Hyperion, from this Reyna doing so much work, just attacking that backline. They just weren't able to get anything happening in that fight for No Worries, so now they're going to have to see how their defense fares, as they have to try and take down this boss, and also a wave of web weavers. My God, that is an annoying sentence to try and say.
A wave of web weavers, a wave of web weavers.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just one of those. But after what seemed like a game that could have ended maybe 5 minutes ago, we are getting into those late game situations, and
yeah, wipes
pretty much anything can happen.
Wipes are dangerous for both teams now. But you know, this is a defense that No Worries can still mount. All their heroes are alive. They're basically going to have all their heroics. This is still a possibility for them, and we've seen their big combo wombo plays, so it's all on the board right now. And these are the situations where you see teams wipe as well, GL.
Yeah, this is where you really start to see whether or not you separate the good from the great teams and how they play in and around these core pushes. A lot of the times we see teams get a little bit too conservative, they pull back and then end up just giving up the advantage that they have. Sometimes they go a little bit too ballsy, and then they just end up pretty much slamming their face into a brick wall. But we do see Ethereal, they're playing it rather conservative. They realize that if it should go awry, it would be the game just completely done there, especially with how the map is going. But
yeah,
this is only just now being cleared out, and we are looking like we're going to get a fight though.
Like, the Cocoons come out, but it's more very, very defensive. Reyna's done his Hyperion. Tatstar's been backed out, but look at that. Greatness taking a lot of damage. The Reyna Avenger doesn't clip him, so he does live for a little bit more. He's been sim-droned. He's going in, but he's had to back out. Penta doing a great job. John doing a great job. And that's Tatstar and Uther both fall behind there. It is pocket heal Uther, so he can manage to keep some people alive, but that's it. They just fought for too long. They chased too hard. Oh, GL. Oh, this is it.
They didn't really get value out of their heroics. I mean, the Divine Shield went onto the Sonya, but no one was going in on the Sonya, so pretty much nothing came of it. And as you mentioned, Greatness on this Reyna is doing so much work, but he's taking a lot of aggression. But now the value goes down, and this could just be game going over to Ethereal.
It was a bad chase. They tried to give Sonya too much to try and stay in it, even though she didn't need it. And I guess at the end, they lumen him. Look, he's still on full health right now. So they just and he did take a couple of therapies, so he can self heal. But that was the big thing here. They didn't really control the Morales properly in that last fight. They overextended into it. They chased, and they just gave Morales the time of day she needed to heal, to heal up Reyna, keep him alive as much as they.